Welcome to In Conversation, folks. We come to you from Washington, D.C. My name is Ramesh Bhutani.
And I'm Aastha Verma.
Well, folks, the people of Commonwealth of Virginia have spoken, and they have elected Robert McDonnell as the governor. He, of course, is of a Republican persuasion. So the question arises, and I'm sure it's all over the papers as you have read, is President Obama's coattails long enough?
You know, yes, it is in the news, and people want to use this as a way to ask, is this a referendum on the president? And I don't think it is. I know people want to believe that, and the Republicans are sticking to some small shred of hope that this can breathe some life into their campaign, which, you know, clearly the country made a choice when they picked President Obama. This has more to do with logistics. You know, the Washington Post did an article on why Cray Deeds, who is, of course, the challenger, why his campaign didn't succeed. And it was the way he ran it. He went after negative ads. And he didn't come after Northern Virginia until late in the game. And that's where voters really went for President Obama in the last election. So I think it has more to do with who Cray Deeds is than it does with any agenda that Bob McDonnell is proposing that outdoes or outweighs Craig Deeds' proposals.
So, folks, Robert McDonnell won. There's no referendum on President Obama. But if Deeds had won, hey, look at it. He made it happen again.
You know, people look at Virginia as a bellwether state, right? It's one of those states that apparently tells the pulse of the nation, but not really. You know, Virginia has been Republican for a very long time. It wasn't until recently, especially in the governorship, that you've had Doug Wilder and a few others, Tim Kaine, and of course Governor Warner, who is so immensely popular. But I think, you know, Virginia is just another state. And I think, again, this goes back to the type of campaign that was run and the type of the candidates themselves. Cray Deeds is a rural candidate. He never managed to connect with certain populations in the state. Bob McDonnell was in Fairfax County. He managed.
But did it affect you that every time you saw Robert McDonnell, he was with his family? He's got kids. They are in the Army, they are in the Marines, or they were in the Marines. He himself was in the Marines. But whenever you saw Deeds, there was never any family. Do you think that made the difference?
I think those things do play a factor. I think people felt comfortable with one type of image that was being presented, and they didn't feel very comfortable with another type of image that was being reflected. I also think that negative campaigning did hurt Cray Deeds. I think he started out with something that could have become more, but Bob McDonnell came back with his own campaign which neutralized all of that negative factor, and I think people got tired of watching those ads.
You will be watching Redskins game tomorrow, hoping and praying that they win some. They have not been a very popular team with the fans. In fact, a quote that I thought was extremely connecting, it said, "It should be apparent at this point that whatever his other virtues," that's Dan Snyder, "isn't the business whiz he's cracked up to be. From the traffic jams and the drunken crowds to the soggy hot dog rolls and the endless TV timeouts, a Redskins game at FedEx Field may be one of the worst entertainment."
You know, for Halloween this year, there were a lot of people walking around with brown bags and Redskins jerseys on. And they were season ticket holders, right? They weren't afraid to show their face.
Do you know the story how Dan Snyder came to own it?
Well, I know that Dan Snyder came in at the last minute with a very large set of investment that John Kent Cook, who's Jack Kent Cook's son, was not able to match. And it was a very sad day, actually, I think.
That's right. In 1993, Jack Kent Cook took out his son as heir apparent and sold the company for $750 million for his charity. And, you know, it was all about saving taxes. So the charity was supposed to receive Redskins, and then charity sold it to the highest bidder.
And the Redskins have been doomed ever since. There's a lot of people that feel the team has been cursed ever since that takeover. And you know, Mr. Snyder isn't earning himself any fans. He's banned signs.
Yes.
At the park, you know, he did some crazy stuff with the tickets. He was selling them to outside parties without letting the season holders or people who wanted to see the
people who have been in the line forever.
The parking lot situation is a mess. People don't enjoy the experience, and the ticket prices are outrageous.
That's right. You know, I have gone to the games a few times, and I want to tell you, it's like you got to keep 2 hours of getting there and 3 hours of coming back home. plus the game time. So it's like a whole day. I mean, you can't afford to give up a whole day just to go watch one game. But I can understand for some it's a lot of fun with the parking lot.
Tailgating, and the Redskins have such a strong history, the Hogettes, and just people are excited, have been excited about this team forever. But you have a team in Baltimore, and that team is doing extremely well.
Yes.
They beat Denver last week. And so you've got to wonder, how long can you keep your loyalty to a team where the owner just isn't doing anything for you? I don't know what is driving him, but he's not earning himself any credit with the community that surrounds him.
That's what John Kent Cook said. He said, folks, the Redskins are personal to him. He felt a lot about it. Whereas Redskins is a business to Dan Snyder.
That's right.
You remember Six Flags, he put it down under. Not exactly a great businessman, you would say.
I do think you said something very important. At the end of the day, sports is about heart. It's about passion. It's about going towards a goal. There's feeling, there's emotion. And when you turn that into a business, you're not going to succeed. When you switch out players, you're not going to succeed. When you don't give the team, the coaches, a time to gel, understand each other, you're not going to succeed. How many different coaches, quarterbacks, players have we had in the last 10 years since Mr. Snyder took over? You haven't had a consistent team. How can you have consistent play, and how can you win games?
I think go Aastha. You've done a beautiful job today. I have no more to say about Redskins.
Can you tell I'm passionate?
She said it for me. By the way, have you seen this picture?
No, I have not.
Obama with Google. A love affair. One thing he said about the Google people is, what we share is a belief in changing the world from the bottom up, not from the top down. And you know more about Google company.
Well, Google is one of the believers in open source platform development. This allows for people, developers, to participate in the platform. Unlike Microsoft and unlike Apple to some degree, which are closed platforms, not anyone can go in and just take the existing